Hey guys, Metal here. Today I wanted to talk about what I feel went wrong with Rainbow Six Siege, why I feel like I have a lot of problems enjoying it, and why I rarely play it. Firstly, I want to explain my credentials as a player, to try and get myself a bit of credibility. I've played the game on a competitive level since it released. I literally played in the tournament the day it happened. It was the Big Six Day 1 tournament. I've consistently ranked in Plat or Diamond every ranked season, except for when cheating was at its height in, I believe that was Black Ice. And that gives you a bit of idea where I'm coming from as a player. Now, obviously, this is my opinion, and, well, I mean, opinions can't be objectively right, but this is how I feel. Now, I don't take any pleasure in making this video. I wish Siege was a game that I still really enjoyed, but it feels Siege was like the love of my life, who about a year after I met her got addicted to crack and then became a completely different person. Again, I really don't want to be a super negative channel. I'm making this video because it was suggested to me that some people wanted to hear my opinion on this, so I'm obliging them. The first thing I wanted to bring up is how just kind of ridiculous the DLC operators have been. So the game's initial cast of 20 had fairly basic abilities. Their gadgets are mostly things that actually exist, at least on some level, and are used by militaries, or are things that don't exist but make sense, or just kind of like serve an important gameplay purpose, like EMP grenades or the cardiac sensor, which, because it was so big and bulky and gross looking, that it just kind of looks like something that's a prototype. The things that were kind of stretching it a little bit, like Bandit's batteries, make sense considering their character. You know, Bandit was an undercover cop for a long time. He probably does a good bit of improvised things, or he knows how to do that sort of things. There's cars on the maps. You know, it makes sense that he might be able to get a couple car batteries laying around. But now in the DLC, you've got all sorts of weird stuff. There's like an operator who carries bear traps. That's not a thing that you would carry. That's not like a reasonable amount of a thing. That's heavy. It's not as effective as something like just a claymore. It just doesn't make any sense. We've got an operator who has bulletproof glass shields to put on the end of his rifle. Like, that's not a thing, and that wouldn't be effective at stopping bullets, which now it isn't very effective at stopping bullets, but when it was added in, it definitely was way too effective. And we got an operator who just toggles stealth and can interrogate like special ops people and make them crack within like a couple seconds. And we've got an operator who shoots a crossbow that burns oxygen. That's not how oxygen works. You don't burn oxygen. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it's, I mean, Buck and Valkyrie were alright. They make sense and they were good additions to the game. But, I mean, the others, it makes what was at first a very authentic feeling tactical shooter feel really gamey and just absurd. The second problem that I have is the glitchiness. At the game's release, it was a little bit rough around the edges. There was occasionally a hit detection problem or some other odd glitch. Matchmaking sometimes could take a while, it might crash, but most of the time the game worked pretty good. And, you know, they fixed it. They got the hit reg and everything working pretty well at around the end of Dustline. And then, towards the end of Dustline and during Skull Rain recently, it seems like patches are breaking more than they fix. The game feels buggier, hit reg is worse than it's ever been. I mean, I used to be able to kind of look past those little issues, right? They would just happen occasionally. But now it's like every game I play, I'm having issues with hit reg or just other weird glitches that I've never even seen before that just happen seemingly randomly. And it makes ranked feel like a coin flip. Just whichever side gets more favorable treatment by the dodgy hit reg wins. And I can't imagine things are much better, you know, playing in tournaments or ESL. I feel like that would be the most frustrating thing. Just know, you know, the better team might not necessarily win because the game is not working consistently. And that is, that's not good, obviously. And it doesn't make the game, it's not helping the game be competitively viable. The third problem I have is that over time, it seems like the defenders are just really getting more and more aggressive. Now, when the game released, there was a good balance of defensive operators and attacking, or more aggressive defending operators. You had some that were clearly more for point defense, like the GIGN or the Spetsnaz characters, and then you had some, like the GSG9 characters, that are more for aggressive pushing. And I want to make it clear that aggressive defense has a place in the game. Players who are skilled at being aggressive and people who can, you know, peek spawns and do those sorts of things should be able to do that. But The game design seems to favor that far, far too much, and they're adding way more operators to the game that favor that instead of more point defense. Instead of an operator that gets a quad rotor drone, which is what's been suggested by the leaks that the defense is going to be getting soon, why not have a defense operator that, say, can set up sandbags or H barriers to, give his team a good bit of cover, to give the defenders a more feeling of control and customization to the layout of their defensive point. That would give an interesting, dynamic to the attackers too, because that could really change how each defensive point works. All in all, I hope some of these things are addressed going forward. It seems like Ubisoft is really dedicated to Rainbow, and I hope they do a good job with it in the future. As of now, though, the game is just too frustrating for me to be fun. I don't even like to think about playing it. It makes me feel like I'm stressed out or nervous. I really want Rainbow to do well. I want it to be awesome. I want it to be a competitive, authentic game. All of my criticisms come from a place where I want the game to succeed, not from wanting to just shit on the game. It's a game that I really, really enjoyed. I hope you guys found my opinion useful or interesting in some way. If you did, please leave a like. If you guys want to see more of my commentaries, gameplay, or guides in the future, please subscribe. I've started a series on the weapons of BF1 covering their in-game stats and history. I've done the Che Regati and the SMLE now. If that interests you, I'd really appreciate it if you check it out. If you really enjoy my content, I would appreciate your support on Patreon, as well as following me on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. All those links are in the description below. If you want to chat or game with myself and other fans, come check out the official Discord, again linked in the description, and have a great one, everyone.